Hey, we're cooking with gas here. On the Jewcast.
Okay, careful using a phrase like that.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries, of a sham.
Tradition!
Oh, shut up, Carl! Shut your goddamn Jew mouth! You people are why there's war in the Middle East!
Gekakkenaf van Jan.
Nebbig.
Ver poepoepoe.
Vermischt.
Verkakt.
Vertutst.
Verstonken.
Farted.
Exactly.
You're what Grammy Hall would call a real Jew.
And away we go. It's episode 92 of American Jew coming at you.
Hey, Ryan.
This might be the first episode that we do that doubles as an episode of Where's the Grief?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I didn't bring a yahrzeit candle, and I don't know the entire Mourner's Kaddish, but sad news this week for me personally. My roommate, my best friend Alex, passed away this week. So
yeah, very, very sad to hear that Alex is gone. You know, I guess I've known him for almost as long as I've known you, Jordan. Good guy, a fun guy. I would have bumped into him often on my way home from shows late at night, and I'd end up getting into some crazy adventures with him where we'd end up in some like bar past 4 o'clock that was having after hours that, of course, he knew everybody to get into everything. And we'd always have fun, and he always had lots of good party favors. And he once took me to a place where we were sitting with the owner of the bar or restaurant, and the owner was just like, he was a Sephardic guy, and he kept being like, "Oh, this fucking Ashkenazi Jew over here." I was like, I never got like anti-Ashkenazi sentiment before. He was like the first one.
That's really funny. That's he knew everybody. You would go to a restaurant with him, and not only did he know the owner and the bartender, he knew the barbacks. You know, he was Cuban, so he spoke Spanish fluently, and so he could get whatever he wanted, because if he couldn't get it from the people at the top, he knew how to go around the back.
Okay, yeah. You know? He could always, whenever we'd go there, like if you couldn't get into a bar, he would be able to get us like straight in, no problem.
One of those guys. I've described him as a real life most interesting man in the world. Just, he had all those kinds of stories, and who knows if any of them were fully true. But he was a great storyteller and a charming guy, and certainly felt like more of a family member than just a friend, especially since he was such a pain in the ass sometimes too. The kind of guy that got under your skin like family on the good side and the bad side. You had to take both. There was no middle ground with Alex, and I think it's a weird thing to have it happen over Thanksgiving weekend, where we're all giving thanks for what little we can look for in our lives right now. We're all sort of stuck inside, and there's craziness, and people are going through a lot right now. Certainly don't even know yet whether or not his death was COVID related. I think it's worth remembering that regardless of what we're all going through, it's important to be thankful for the things that we have and the people that we have in our lives, and that it's easy to lose sight of all the things that we have. I posted a thing about Alex on Facebook the other day, and the number of people who reached out to me, not just on Facebook, but directly, through phone or via text or message, whatever, is really kind of a beautiful thing. I'm comforted by the fact that I have so many people in my life who are here to support me, and so many people in my life who knew Alex as well. He was such a part of my life. Just about everybody that I knew met him in some fashion, and are affected by this as well. So it's nice to know that there is a community that we have amongst each other that can support each other and tell these stories also, like the fact that there are so many amazing stories that we can tell and laugh about, and that we have to keep our humor and our sense of love for each other with us in times like these more than ever.
Absolutely. And, Alex was such a fun guy. I knew him to be a very generous guy and a very open guy with everybody. He was just like down and cool with everyone. And, rest in peace. He will be missed. Was very sorry to hear.
Yeah. While he was not a Jew, he was from Miami. So,
okay. So close.
He was part of my mishpucha. So, yes, R.I.P. He's up at the party in the sky now, saving a table in the VIP for us. He and Russell are, I'm sure. Well, I do feel like we should switch it up a little bit. Sometimes we do the good news at the end, but we should do the good news now, I think. The fun news, anyway. There's a new 2021 calendar for Jewish guys, the sexiest Mensch calendar.
First of all, we know that's not true because we are not in the calendar. So it can't be the sexiest Mensch. It could be some Mensches in New York who made this calendar. You know, and I saw some of these guys. They're not sexy at all, by the way.
I'll tell you right now, first of all, we're both pretty Menschy for not having entered into the competition that would have gotten us into the calendar so that these schlubs could get in there in the first place. Like, we did a mitzvah.
Okay, I didn't even know. Where are they advertising this calendar to be made, to be had?
You know, I don't really know. He said the photography style is less piece of meat and more piece of gefilte fish. And it's been coming out since 2009. I mean, they all seem to be, I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but they all seem to be kind of like dating profiles put together by these people's mothers.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures. They're not sexy, and they're not artistic either. They seem like they're straight from like a J-Swipe profile.
Right? I mean, this guy Howie, he said that he hasn't told his mother that he's in the calendar yet because it's going to be a surprise for Hanukkah. Like, how lame are your present ideas for Hanukkah? How little are the accomplishments in your life that, you know, being in that calendar?
Hey, I mean, you got to take what you could get when your name is Howie, I guess.
I guess. Well, I can't wait till the parody song comes out. You know, my blood runs cold, my Jaime is a centerfold. Could you believe?
Oh, hey.
My Shlomo is a centerfold. All right. Well, I guess now we can get to, I feel like this is a good bridge between good news and bad news, I guess. This Jewish doctor in California.
Yes, absolutely. This Jewish doctor in California is treating a patient for COVID. Apparently, he was treating them with like an Asian technician and an African-American nurse. And guess what? The patient had swastika tattoos and SS tattoos and just all this hate-filled body art all over himself. And the doctor, I guess, was like, I wonder if this guy knows that, like, a Jewish guy is taking care of him and attempting to save his life right now.
It's crazy. He was like, I can't believe that this guy would probably not save my life were the roles reversed.
That's just crazy. And that also just shows how, like, stupid so much of this hatred is, where, yeah, people want to preach hate, but when they need something from someone that's Jewish or of color or whatever, then, the problem they have isn't so big with them anymore, you know? And it also speaks to the character of this Jewish doctor who could have said, hey, I'm not going to treat this guy. Let him go find some, other fellow Nazi member to treat him. Maybe some Nazi doctor hiding out in Argentina. He treated him. He still was interested in saving his life and doing the right thing. And, I feel like we should be plastering that on different message boards for white supremacists and all that. Like, yeah, even though you're filled with hate that you want to express it by drawing it all over your body, Jewish people will still be there to help you when you need help.
Although I have to say, I'm really also intrigued by the fact that he said, it's the first time during this entire pandemic that he hesitated before, going through this, like, oh shit, I don't know. All right, I guess I'm doing this. I don't care if this guy lives or dies. Is kind of what he said. He didn't feel any compassion, but he did his job.
It's scary to think, that he did his job and he helped this guy. But like you said, if the tables would turn, would this guy help him? Or even in, a couple months from now, if this guy's out with his buddies spreading Jew hate and they come across this Jewish doctor and they might, beat him up or do something cruel to him.
I think it shows a lot of character on the part of this doctor for him to actually even just, to explicitly say, I didn't have a lot of compassion and it shook me. So I had to double down, take a good look at myself and make sure that I extended the compassion towards him so that I could work on him properly and do a good job. I think that speaks so much to the difference.
I mean, he should be on this Mensch calendar personally.
Yeah, right? That guy should be on the calendar.
And he's a doctor. Fuck off, Howie.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say if he's single or not, but his name is Taylor Nichols. Taylor Nichols, MD, is the doctor. If it doesn't say if he's single or not. So, if you have a...
But he's our Mensch of the week, I'll tell you that much.
Damn straight.
Know who's not a Mensch? Rudy Giuliani.
Oof, hasn't been a Mensch in a long time.
What a piece of shit this guy is. Seriously. I mean, whether it's spreading this bullshit conspiracy theory, being so far up, fucking Donald Trump's ass.
He's so far up Donald Trump's ass that the bullshit is literally running down his face. That's what's happening.
Oh. Yeah, so, I mean, Giuliani is spreading baseless conspiracy theories. One of the things that he wants to spread is that, George Soros is behind all this mass voter fraud that there's absolutely no proof of, that all these court cases keep throwing out, that even William Barr said there's no evidence from, the Department of Homeland Security said is not true. But he's going hard with it. And apparently, this is William Soros is behind it. Of course, Soros is always tied with different anti-Semitic statements because, he's a very wealthy Jew and he funds a lot of different liberal organizations and liberal causes. And people, want to say first, of course, the Jews are controlling, ruling everything, and then this Jew. And, so Giuliani's blaming him, and it totally baseless, no evidence, of course, which I guess is the Giuliani/Trump way, is not having any evidence. But, one thing really bothered me is, George Soros, I guess, identifies as an atheist. And Giuliani kind of attacked this, that, what Giuliani's saying isn't anti-Semitic, first of all, Giuliani claims. And secondly, it doesn't matter because George Soros isn't even really a Jew. Since he considers himself atheist, he can't be Jewish. And right. I got a lot of beef with that. Like, I consider myself agnostic, but I still consider myself Jewish. I'm still a Jew, even if I don't believe in the religious text. I mean, that's kind of like the basis of our podcast right now. And I'm not going to stand here while Giuliani says our podcast isn't Jewish.
Listen, I mean, we talk about this a lot, about how we identify with culturally, even though we don't subscribe to all of the religious practices. Judaism is one of the few religions that has a cultural component to it that people identify as part of their upbringing. It's just so crazy that anybody would try to tell somebody you're not allowed to be offended by anti-Semitism because you're not even a real Jew.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. I mean, Giuliani is insane, so it kind of makes sense, but it's just ridiculous that he's saying stuff, and it's just like, come on, man, shut your mouth. It's one thing to, be spewing these dumb conspiracy theories, but it's another thing to just say something that is just so blatantly not true that it's will spread hatred and false information to people. And it's Giuliani's a nut job, and I'm glad he got exposed on the Borat movie. And
it's just like they use these arguments. They flip flop on these arguments when it's convenient for them. It's like, oh, he's part of a Jewish conspiracy, and then the guy comes out and says, well, that's anti-Semitic. He's like, well, you can't even be anti-Semitic because you're not really a Jew. Like, what? Which one is it? Is he part of a Jewish cabal, or is he not in the? I mean, what is it? You can't victimize him on both ends of that.
Don't be listening to Giuliani, especially his opinion on who is Jewish and who's not Jewish. You don't get to dictate who is Jewish and who's not, Giuliani.
All right, and I guess our final story today is our continuing coverage of what are the Jews doing in Brooklyn?
These Hasidic Jews! So, people want to say that Cuomo is a huge anti-Semite because he's kind of being critical of the Hasidic Jews. He has a Jew as part of his team, a young Republican organization, I guess. They've kind of gone to attack him, saying that he's like the court Jew, which is anti-Semitic, I think, kind of saying that, he's just who they have around. I'm sorry, the Hasidic, they just had this crazy wedding with thousands of people. No one's wearing a mask. They're spreading COVID like crazy. They don't care. They're lying to people. They're telling people to lie about it. Yes, Cuomo should be hard on them. It's not because Cuomo hates Jews. It's because Cuomo wants to help Jews and help everybody in New York. It's
so hard to figure out how to get that messaging out and not have it be declared anti-Semitism, because it's really, there are too many Jews in the Hasidic community that are really making it more difficult because of their screams of anti-Semitism. Calling Cuomo the biggest Semitic governor in America is, that's not helpful. How does that help anybody to just go? Because that's, even if that were true, which I don't believe it is, it still ignores 95% of the issues.
Yeah, don't bring your age-old anti-Semitic tropes into some conversation just to peddle your dumb political opinions. Court Jews, of course, it's a reference to Jewish people that would have been part of a royal court in exchange for special privileges that other Jews didn't get. And now it's it's a slur that are saying that, the people that they say that are selling out, the Jewish interests to advance their own status. So these people are just, they're just looking for a reason to attack Cuomo, to attack his team. This is kind of a low blow, no surprise, coming from Republicans. And I have to agree with the ADL on this one, where they told this guy just to shut up.
The ADL said, the Anti-Defamation League said, everyone has a right to disagree with public policy and political positions, but resorting to tropes should be off limits. And the young Republicans tweeted back, "Shut up, Jew." No, they said that the ADL is a sham and that they should shut up. I mean, come on. It's so infantile to have that kind of a response. Listen, we're here to have an intelligent debate. Resorting to insults is not the way to do that. Go fuck yourself.
You would say that, you loser.
Right? Come on now. It's so stupid. All right.
We have another great guest on today. Excited to have comedian Jason Andors on the show. I think we've both known Jason for a long time.
Yeah, he's going to
be a very funny comedian, very talented dancer, and a Jew.
He's here to pop, lock, and drop it for us.
Well, let's get Jason on the show.
Well, we are super excited to welcome one of our favorite Jews and comedians, Jason Andors, to the show. Welcome, sir.
What's up, boys?
How's it going, Jason?
How you guys doing? I'm good. How you doing? I like the background, man.
Yeah, we got a rep.
To start. You like my background? I got a Dominican flag behind me.
Okay, I was wondering what kind of flag that was. Is that for the girls you bring over?
Well, sort of. It's it's a character I do on social media that became really big in Dominican Republic. It's called El Tigre Bacano. So that's become my new kind of life. It's become my thing. I don't know if you guys know about that. Yeah, about 5 years ago I started it with some Dominican comedians up in the Heights. I mean, I always loved the Latin culture since I was a kid in New York City. Always loved Latinas. Ever since Arlene in third grade, Mm-hmm. Dominican chick. She had an adult ass in the third grade. And I was in love with her, So I never learned Spanish as a kid, though.
Oh.
Because all the Latinas in my neighborhood spoke English. So I'm like, I hated studying. So I'm like, why the fuck do I need to learn Spanish when they speak English? There's no point.
Right.
But my teacher, and I'd always fail in Spanish class. But my teacher, if he was smart, because he would have just sat me down and be like, Jason, you want to grow up to be like a sick pervert and fly 5 hours to a foreign country just so you could get some ass, and you can't even get any because you don't know how to say cuánto cuesta? Huh? No. Then do your homework. If he would have told me that most of the beautiful Latinas around the world don't speak English, maybe I would have done my homework.
I love your teaching. You're telling teachers how to motivate kids these days.
That's how they need to do it.
I mean, it's hard over Zoom teaching classes, but you got to do what you got to do.
You got to teach
class. So obviously, Jason has no trouble dating shiksas.
You don't date the Jews?
No, I don't. I know I'm on a Jewish podcast, but sorry, ladies.
He opened up hard about the Dominican Republic.
He
went Dominican Republic, Spanish, Latinas.
You're like, oh, God, we got a great Jew today. Right away, República Dominicana. I got my flag. You're like, what the fuck is he doing to our podcast?
I'm sure there are some Jews in the Dominican Republic. There are some Latino Jews, Jason.
Yeah, the Jews actually Trujillo, which was a dictator of Dominican Republic from 1930 to I think 1961. He actually allowed a lot. He gave permission for 100,000 Jews to come over after the Holocaust.
Okay.
Seemed like a nice guy, like he's trying to save the Jews and everything. But his real goal was to mix them with the dark-skinned girls to make more white women there in Dominican Republic. That was definitely one of his main goals. Not to save the struggling Jews. He couldn't give a shit about that. It's to save the race. He was almost like a white supremacist, but he was Dominican,
Wow.
But
I like his style a little more than Hitler's style, trying to get the perfect white race. At least this guy's trying to mix it up.
Yeah, no, he was better than Hitler, I think. But he's definitely opening for Hitler in hell. He's not he's not the closer. He's probably the host, actually.
I wonder.
LOL.
What would you get that influx of that many Jews into the Dominican? All of a sudden, it's this is a little spicy. Is it? Could we maybe tone down the spicy? It's sending everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I think only 5,000 made it to Dominican Republic, and there's 80 left or something, and they all went to Sosua.
Oh,
So Sua. So it was 5,000 made. He'd get so Sua.
Who did they sue?
Right, exactly. Exactly. I never thought about that. They go to the one place with the word Sue in it. Unbelievable. That's hilarious.
Well, Jason, you grew up in New York City, right?
Yeah,
And
born and raised.
Was Judaism a big part of your life growing up at all?
Not a big part, but it was definitely a part because I had my bar mitzvah.
Okay.
My brother had his bar mitzvah. My dad had his bar mitzvah. And my grandparents had theirs. My real last name's Andorsky.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. You got rid of that Jew part.
No, we had to get rid of it, man. It went from Andorsky to Andors and now El Tigre Bacano. I mean, that's how much we got.
Wow, talk about assimilating.
Yeah. So, yeah, my great-grandparents changed it to Andors, so they can get more work. And I'm thinking about changing it back so I can get some work now. But, yeah, so they changed it. And, I was never religious. I guess at one point in my life I could consider myself atheist, but now I consider myself agnostic. I'm open to whatever. I think it's stupid to believe there's definitely no God and dumb to definitely believe there is. So that's where I'm at. But I try to be a good person. That's my thing. Do charity work, whatever I can. So we used to celebrate all the, Passover, Hanukkah. We used to always go to my grandmother's. It was kind of an excuse to get the family together more than the actual practicing the religion. I mean, we would read. We got to the food really quick. Yeah. You're supposed to do like 2 hours of reading, and I think it was about 3 minutes. We did,
Yeah. Jews were slaves. Moses said, "Let us go." Pass the brisket.
Yeah. We did the cliff notes of the holidays. So I had my bar mitzvah at Lincoln Square Synagogue on 68th Street, which is a pretty serious synagogue. They definitely had all the women and men separated seating, and definitely wasn't like a modern feel in there. But
did you do the Torah reading?
I did the half Torah. I forgot it midway, and one of the rabbis came and was whispering it to me. I practiced a lot, not enough though, obviously. Okay. And I remember like Hadavar Asher Diber Adonai El Yiryahu Hanavi Lavo Nevuhi Gretzka. And then it just went off. And
okay.
And I remember looking at my friend.
Words.
No, I totally fucked it up.
Still more than I remember my Haftorah.
Well, I literally remember doing it. I remembered half of my Haftorah. I did a quarter Torah. That's what I fucking remember.
Yeah, that's good.
And I remember forgetting it and looking up at my friend Malik. I say, well, I grew up in public schools in New York, so I said my friends are all mixed. I guess I had more white friends as a kid if you add them up. But my best friend, Malik and Brian and Norman, they were all black. So it was very mixed. I didn't really think about race a lot growing up. It was just such a mix of everything in my neighborhood,
Mm-hmm. So when you were in this public school and you're around so many kids of different ethnicities, did you identify more as just being like a white kid or being like a Jewish kid?
I identified more as being a New York City public school kid.
Okay.
I mean, I really didn't identify with either. Look, 1st through 5th grade, my best friends were Sam and Brian. Sam was white, Brian was black. We'd had our sleepovers once a week at each other's house. You have best friends as a kid. You have one or two. Yeah. When you get older, you have a best friend for different things. This is my best friend that I talk to every night on the phone, but I haven't seen in 40 years.
Right.
You got that best friend, the best friend to go out pick up chicks with, the best friend that you really hate, but for some reason you're still friends with. You got a different best friend for a lot of things. You got the puzzle of best friends,
Yeah.
But Brian, and then I had my friend Norman, who was like my hero. He was the toughest kid in the school, the best athlete in the school. 6th grade came, I went to IS 44, and I found out Norman was like one of the best poppers in New York City. He was a break dancer, a popper, the difference of popping and breaking. And Norman was part of the original Rocksteady crew, which was a very famous breakdance group. And they still are famous. And he was in the scene in Flashdance where they were breaking on the street. I don't know if you remember that scene. So that was the scene that made breakdancing mainstream around the world pretty much. But he was a part of that scene, so he became like a New York City legend. But a lot of people that dance, everyone remembers that scene because it was like the scene that made breakdancing worldwide famous. It was very underground before that.
And you're a dancer, Jason. Is this part of the reason that got you into dancing?
Yes. I the summer before 6th grade.
It wasn't the horror?
No, it wasn't the horror. Although Jews get down at some of these parties. The summer before 6th grade, my parents sent me to an all-black summer camp by accident.
By accident?
The only other white kid at the camp was my black friend Brian. You know. And so we're there. And, at this camp, like, it wasn't even like a camp. Like, I remember people getting jumped outside my bunk one night. I thought it was the sound of wolves. I look out the window, and they're jumping. This kid, Ronnie, I was friends with, was from the South Bronx. He had beef with this other kid in the yard that day. There was, like, a yard. There was, like, nowhere else to play. It was like a prison yard.
Okay, yeah,
like, and I had nowhere to go.
How black was this camp? Sorry.
Literally, like, at least in a prison, there was, like, a white crew I could join, There was nowhere. So I'm like wandering around the yard, like, and this kid, Ronnie, like, befriended me. And he was just like, stay with us. And then he had beef with this other kid. And then they had an argument. And that night they jumped the kid at like 2 a.m. in front of the bunk. Like, it was crazy. So anyway, that was the first time I ever saw popping. This kid, Ronnie, was popped a little bit. And then he taught me the wave. He taught me the glide. And he taught me the heartbeat. And there was another kid named JJ from the South Bronx that was amazing that summer. That was when the song Planet Rock came out by Africa Bambaataa, which is like the first real New York City hip-hop song. And, a lot of Jews were part of that hip-hop scene, like DJs, the rappers, the dancers, the graffiti artists.
Beastie Boys.
Jews represented.
The producers,
the hip-hop world.
The backers.
Absolutely, yeah, Rick Rubin.
We represented. So I learned a few moves. I came back to 6th grade, and most of my white friends were like, what the fuck is that robot dance you're doing? I'm like, it's called Electric Boogie, which is a New York name for it. The real name was Electric Boogaloo. And they had Breaking the Electric Boogaloo, that movie, because popping started in Los Angeles.
Right. And
breakdancing started in New York City. Like, breaking on the ground was the Bronx. Popping and locking was L.A. I didn't know that till I was older. But he taught me a few moves, and then I found out my friend Norman was like one of the best in the city. I'm like, when the fuck did you learn? I don't even remember this. I remember you being the best athlete, the best fighter. Now you're the best fucking dancer. And this dude, Norman, was fucking adults when he was 11, 12 years old. He claims he took Stacey Dash's virginity. When he was 13, he was banging his manager, who was like the manager of the Roxy, that big club downtown.
Uh-huh.
Wow, great to know he was a good dancer and involved with pedophilia.
Yeah, and that, but he enjoyed it. He has no regrets.
He's like a reverse Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah, but he enjoyed it.
That's all that matters.
He's not filing anything. He enjoyed it. He had a great time. So I remember his mom showing me pictures of the manager naked on the bed, Norman's bed. Like, Norman's mother was like, it was totally normal. I was like, oh, this is his manager. She was in love with Norman. And then he made like the cover of Dance magazine. And he used to walk around like in the winter with the shirt open, chest out. Like, he was a real little pretty boy, but it was like the winter. Chest out. Like, you almost would think like he had this blonde little tail they used to have. You almost think he was like almost gay. I was walking around, but he always had different women that would beat the shit out of you, He taught me more. And then I had a partner who was Jewish, my friend Peter, who went by Shorty Shock. That was his breakdance name. I had named myself Mr. Pop back then. And we called ourselves the Rare Pair. We started a duo because we were two Jewish kids that could dance, so we were the Rare Pair.
Oh, nice.
And that's when I auditioned 8th grade for the School of Performing Arts, LaGuardia. Popping. My mom, I was part of the dance club in junior high school. We didn't take the dance class. We just practiced popping in the corner while all, like, the girls were doing the dancing stuff. I was like, I'm not doing that gay shit. I'm a popper, Cut to a year later, I'm in ballet class. But anyway, back to the Jewish stuff. So what do you want to know about my...
Do you ever experience any anti-Semitism, Jason?
No, I don't think so.
No?
Anti-white boy, yeah. But anti-Semitism? Not really.
Oh, nice. They just stopped it. They hated it. They didn't like you because you were white. They didn't get that far.
Yeah, they didn't have to go any further. Yeah.
Like, oh, you guys should have held out and learned a little bit. You could have had some better...
Right. Well, usually a lot of time the people that'd be like, "You fucking white or whatever," they'd be like, "Yo, you Jewish, you like one of us, man." Like they respected the struggle.
Okay, you want to be oppressed.
Yeah. No, it seems like it's less of that now for some reason, but there was definitely more of that when I was a kid. I think because I was a break dancer and I hung out on the projects a lot as a kid, breakdancing and being part of crews and battling on the streets. And I had my friend Norman, his brother was like a leader of this big gang, you know. So it was like I had this backup. I kind of was down then. I don't know. I didn't experience it really. Well, because no one knew I was Jewish. Right. You know? It's like I didn't walk around with a yarmulke. That's the difference. That's why I understand like black people get a lot more shit because people know they're black. Okay. I'm going to fucking, you know, give you shit because of that. I'm going to follow you around the store or whatever. Well, being a Jew, if you don't have the yarmulke, you're not dressed like, you know, the classic Hasid or whatever, no one knows.
Right. No, it's true. That's, I guess, why they so often we just get kind of lumped into like all white people because people's like, oh, you're not that oppressed as a Jewish person because you're perceived as white. So you don't really have a lot of the problems that other minorities might have.
Yeah, almost like a guy in the closet, a gay guy. Like, if he doesn't want to tell people he's gay and doesn't want to walk around talking like this, he's just talking around like no one's going to make fun of him or give him shit for being gay. No one knows. It's like when I'm in synagogue, it's like only the Jews know I'm Jewish, so no one's going to give me shit. When the closet case gay guy is at home fucking another dude, only the gay guy knows he's gay. So no one's going to make fun of him, you know? Like,
Do you go to synagogue, Jason?
No, I went
one time for your bar mitzvah.
Yeah, basically, I went for, I think, a year or two. I didn't learn shit.
Like every Saturday you go or something?
No, I think I went like Wednesday maybe, just one day a week.
Oh, it's just like Hebrew school to learn
Hebrew school at Lincoln Square.
Up Torah, okay.
And then I remember getting caught shoplifting at the Pathmark on 71st Street.
Okay.
I was with my friend Andrew, and we were on the way to synagogue, to Hebrew school. And I'm like, let me get some Tic Tacs. So we went in, and I stole one pack of Tic Tacs, and I got greedy, and I took another. And then as I'm walking out, my head just smashes into the big security guard's stomach. He's like, where are you going? I said, what do you mean? I got to go to Hebrew school. He's like, no, you're going downstairs. You just stole something. So they bring us all downstairs. They write us up, and then they call our Hebrew school. So I had to show up to Hebrew school with everyone knowing I just got caught shoplifting at Pathmark.
Oh,
and everyone still asked me for some Tic Tacs.
At least you brought enough for everybody.
Yeah. No, actually, they didn't let me have the Tic Tacs. But I had
hey, I'm not a man yet. I haven't had my bar mitzvah, so the best you could do is send me to juvie.
Right. Yeah, I became a real man at my bar mitzvah. Yeah, I've been to a lot of bar mitzvahs in Long Island as a kid because when I went to summer camp, like the Jewish summer camps I went to, they weren't actual Jewish camps, but they were Jewish camps because almost everybody was Jewish there.
Right.
After you went to the all-black camp and your parents heard about people getting beat up, they're like, you're going to Jewish camp now.
Like, that's pretty much what happened. It was a YMCA camp, the black camp, but it happened to be, there was one other white kid I remember at that camp that summer, and he was like French, and he was homeless at the camp. Like, no one knew what bunk he was in. Like, he always had a different wild pet, too. He'd have like a snake. He'd have like a fucking bird. I remember I was taking a shit once, and he came in and threw hot water in my face. I freaked out. I came out. Luckily, I had just wiped, so I was like ready to like pull pants up and fuck him up. So I go out and I beat the shit out of this kid in the bathroom. I threw his head in the boiler. Like I was infuriated. And then the counselors broke it up, but I was real cool with the head counselor. This kid spoke no English. He was French. The counselor also spoke French. So to my regular counselor I was cool with. So he translated to the head counselor. Every time the French kid would be saying like this kid beat me up or whatever, he would translate it to like he started hitting him. Jason didn't want to fight, and he kept fighting, and Jason kept saying no. Like he translated it. And saved my ass.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, that was good. But it was a great experience. That camp, I feel like, changed my life, you know?
Well, despite the fact that there doesn't, you know, that there's not a lot of Judaism in your life, do you have a favorite Jewish holiday?
Christmas.
Yeah,
I used to get the best gifts on Christmas, I gotta say. My favorite Jewish holiday, I don't know.
Or like,
I just liked all of them because it was an excuse to see my aunt and my grandmother. We go over Hanukkah and Passover and Rosh Hashanah, you know.
Yeah.
I like going over to their house. It was an excuse to do that.
Right. Yeah. That's the nice thing about, I think, the Jewish holidays and something we appreciate because we don't really care about the religious aspect, but it's a time to, like, bring the family together and all get together. Do you have a favorite Jewish food?
I got to keep it real. The only food I liked was when I found the matzah and got, like, $20. I didn't
the comin.
Yeah, but I didn't eat the matzah. But that was my favorate food at that moment.
Because you got the money. This is coming across very Jewish, by the way, Andor.
Yeah, of course. What do you think I'm here for, man? I mean, I had a joke. It's a true story that we were so Jewish that my mom sent my brother to a private Catholic school because it was cheaper. And that's a true story.
Jason, who's your favorite Jew? It could be anyone. Fictional, biblical, in entertainment, whatever.
Wow. My favorite Jew. This is a tough one, bro. I'd say my brother. That's my favorite Jew.
Yeah.
Nick Andors. Check him out. NickAndors.com. Amazing artist. Has a new graphic novel coming out. Yeah, amazing artist.
Cool.
Is there anything you want to plug other than your brother?
Go to my social media.
Yeah.
El Tigre Bacano. If the spelling's correct, you'll find me on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram.
We'll definitely check it out. Yeah, we're glad that they're loving you in the Dominican Republic, and we hope more people
And
in
I
America
love them
do.
too, man. It's a mutual thing. It's reciprocal.
You've been doing comedy in New York for a long time, and it's not an easy thing to do, and we're happy to have you in the community, and we're very happy to know you, Jason.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good luck with this.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks.
Man. Super grateful for Jason Nandors for coming on the show.
Make sure you follow him on Instagram and on TikTok at El Tigre Bacano, which is it'll be spelled in the show notes there. And make sure you sign up for our Patreon because we got into a lot more with him about his rise into Dominican stardom and how he went from pop locking and dropping it to doing comedy. And thank you guys for listening to the show. We're happy that we have all these listeners every week, and we hope you follow us on social media at American Jew Podcast, except on Twitter, we are American Jew Pod. You can always follow me on Instagram at Beatnik Nudnik.
And, of course, you can follow me across all social media platforms at Jonathan Randall.
Thanks for listening, guys. L'chaim.